travel experiences from around the world. It's day 3 of my road trip, and I have traveled 840 kilometers so far. Leaving Sofia behind, I move northeast, wanting to get to Bucharest, where I'll spend the night. There are 2 routes to Bucharest. The shortest one is to turn left after Pleven city towards Nicopol, where I will take a ferry to cross the Danube. Google Maps says that I will need 5.5 hours to reach my destination via this route. My second option is to head toward Ruse and take the bridge to cross the Danube. It is 27 kilometers more, but 23 minutes faster. I chose the first option as I wanted to take a few shots of the river from the boat while crossing it. The route is an 83-kilometer highway. After Jablanica, the road is 1 lane per direction. I pass through various villages and cities like Lukovit and continue my way up to the port. One thing that really made an impression on me was that from this point on, women would periodically appear out of nowhere on the side of the road and signal me to stop. I don't think I need to explain exactly what they wanted, right? As I learned later, some drivers like to stop to relax a little bit. I passed by Pleven and turned right to head north to Nicopol. From here, the Danube is about 50 kilometers. The route is very green. However, you generally have to ride carefully because dogs often come out suddenly onto the road from the trees. I arrive at the banks of the Danube and continue to ride along it for a while until I reach the port, where I'll cross the river. Unfortunately, I learned that I have to wait 3 hours for the next ferry, which really spoiled my mood. There was no breeze, it was very hot, and the coffee shop wasn't anything special. I checked how long it would take to get to Ruse on Google Maps, and I saw that it's 134 kilometers, and would take about 2 hours. I preferred driving rather than waiting in a boring cafe, and this way I would gain at least 1 hour, so I headed off to Ruse. I headed east on the inland road rather than going back to Pleven, which was a bad choice because the road is very bad. I rode along the Danube, but I couldn't see it at all because of the tall trees. The road in some parts is wide and in others narrow and unmarked. In the village Vardim, I see something on the Danube that looks like a cafe and make a small detour to stop. It ended up being a house, but the hospitable hostess allowed me to come in and take photos of the beautiful view of the river. I went back on the main road to Ruse, where I was really impressed by the fact that there were sunflowers as far as the eye could see, making a vast yellow scenery. I reached Ruse and stopped for gas and to relax a little bit. I continued to the border, where just after the customs checkpoint, I took the bridge to cross the Danube. After a few meters, I got stuck in traffic due to roadwork that closed 1 lane. Taking advantage of one of the advantages to riding a bike, I started to overtake as many cars as I could. I pass the bridge and approach the Romanian customs checkpoint and feel really sorry for the people waiting in the opposite lane, as the line is quite long. The distance from here to Bucharest is 65 kilometers, and I see on Google Maps I will need about an hour to reach it. This made me suspect that the road wouldn't be that good, but it turns out to be fine, with 2 lanes in each direction in most sections. Entering the city, the traffic begins. The scene here, where there are wires above me, reminds me of Tirana, which I mentioned in my road trip in the Western Balkans, which you can watch on tripman.net. I see many large, poorly maintained apartment buildings all around that are reminiscent of the period of the communist regime the country had experienced. I enter the address of my hotel in my cell phone's GPS and head towards it. The city's architecture is strange, and I'm often surprised by the buildings I see. It's a patchwork from neoclassical, Bauhaus, and Art Deco buildings, mixed with communist blocks and other structures of the modern period. A city full of clashing images that is still attempting to determine its character. Christmas 2009, I had visited Bucharest by plane, and although I had explored the city, when you visit a place by bike or car, you get a different point of view. Bucharest is situated on the Dâmbovița River, and it is the largest city in Romania with a population of almost 2.2 million. According to historical references, it was founded around 1459, and according to tradition, it was named after a prince of the region named Bucur, which in Romanian means joy. It became the capital of Romania in 1862, a period when it was one of the richest cities in Europe. Compared to the last time I was here, the city has a more European vibe today. I'm not sure if it's just the feeling I got, but I think that 6 years ago the influence of the communist period was more apparent. The modern history of Romania is very interesting, and if you intend to visit, it's worth reading up on it a bit. One of the sites in the city that really stands out is the Palace of the Parliament. It is located at the end of Unirea Street and is the second largest building in the world after the Pentagon in the USA. It occupies an area of 330,000 square meters and was built in 1980 to house the Central Committee of the Communist Party. Requiring around 20,000 people to construct it, this palace has 1,100 rooms and 4,500 chandeliers. Another attraction in Bucharest is the Arc De Triumphe, which resembles the one in Paris. However, at the time of my visit it was covered due to construction, so I couldn't really see it. On my road trips where I have only a few hours in each city, museums are definitely not a priority for me. However, some of the cultural sites in the city are the National Art Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Agricultural Museum of Romania, the National History Museum, and the Military Museum. The historic city center is picturesque with cobbled streets and is a nice place to walk. It has restaurants, cafes, and bars, and I also found a Greek tavern. Among these cobbled streets is the Church of Stavropolios, which was built in 1724 by the Greek monk and archimandriti John Stratonikea. The inside is impressive with wooden and stone sculptures, paintings, frescoes, and an extensive library with over 8,000 books. During the summer, the scenery in Bucharest is totally different from the winter, where I remember walking to the center and not seeing many people. Now all the streets are busy and the city is alive all hours of the day. In the evening, there are a lot of options for places to have a drink, and I mean a lot. But since I am a tired traveler, what I really need is to eat something and then get some rest. I chose a restaurant where I had eaten during my last visit so as to be sure I'd find something I like. The Carucaber is a restaurant in a historic building where the atmosphere and the flavors will really entice you. For more information about Carucaber and the hotel where I stayed, visit tripman.net. Bucharest is a city with a strange energy that is still trying to shape its personality. There are many things to see and do, and you can definitely have a really good time here. The next day I head north. I'm in a good mood as my next destination is the reason for taking this road trip, the Carpathian Mountains.